Hey, what's going on, everyone? The I Got Soul and Soul in Stereo podcast is back, and once again, Ed is not here to join us. So, Tom, we're gonna have to hold down the fort until he's back, which I believe is next week, right?
What is that guy doing anyway?
Well, didn't you see like a sign in New York yesterday about Alabama?
Yeah, Alabama Tourism Board is advertising in the middle of New York City. That's when you know desperate times are calling for desperate measures. They must be broke down there.
So Ed might be over there trying to get as many tourists to come by as possible. So we'll leave Ed to that. He should be back next week. No guarantees because it is Ed and he is a busy person. But again, it's just going to be me and you. And good news, Tom, I've decided to do something new since it is 2017. Well, actually, it's been 2017 for a while now. But I'm going to do something new.
Uh-oh, what is it?
I'm going to start reading books. Do you read books?
I can't remember the last book I read. Actually, I can. It was about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been a while for me too, but decided it's time to read some books. So I actually went to the library today and picked up L.A. Reid's, autobiography. For all the listeners out there, let us know what your favorite R&B based books are, and I'll definitely read it because it's always nice not only listening to the music but also reading about the history. But I mean, a lot to talk about in terms of present R&B right now. Tom, can we start off talking about Neo's new single?
Yeah, so I did take a listen to it after you told me what it sounded like, and yeah, it was not quite what we expected. I think you called it something, classified it interestingly.
What did I classify it as? Disco pop?
I thought you said 80s pop, 80s disco pop, I don't know, something.
Something like, well, as I listen to it, it kind of reminds me of that sound that, Pharrell was going for about 2 years ago with, the Get Luckies and the Blurred Lines. So it's sort of in that realm. It's a little more poppy than that, which is kind of disappointing because, like you and I have both mentioned, Nonfiction, we both felt like it was a pretty solid album. That was a R&B based album, and that had some jams on there.
You know what, though? I think it's fine, though. I'm not disappointed because the way I look at it, it could have been the other direction. He could have went back to trap music and all that. You remember what he did on Nonfiction with the singles, so at least he didn't necessarily go trendy. Maybe it's a little too pop for our liking, but I'm pretty confident the album's going to be packed with R&B at least, even if the singles aren't.
Fair. You know what, though? I'm kind of sad because if you're going to bring in a disco pop song like he did, you need to bring in Hitbull. Not Pitbull, but Hitbull, because he provides hits.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow.
But Neo did actually appear on The Breakfast Club the other week, and he said that his album is going to be full of R&B as well as pop, because he's never really classified himself as a full-on R&B artist. He even said on his first album it was full of pop songs. Do you kind of agree with that? I kind of do as I listen to it. It wasn't all the way R&B.
Well, you know that they tend to box people in. They love to do that. And he wrote for pop artists. So, I mean, you can't just say he was just a straight R&B artist, even though we love to classify people and box them in. So, but, I mean, if you look at his later albums, though, like his second album and his third album, wasn't it kind of more so straight R&B?
Yeah, and then it kind of shifted back to pop on Libra Scale.
Yeah.
Well, Libra Scale was okay, but the R.E.D. album, that was half and half. But that brings me to another question, and this comes from, I'm not going to read his full name out because it's kind of offensive, but let's call him Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Oh, my God.
You can replace... Well,
wow.
Dog is actually, it was actually another word, and I'm not allowed to say that word, but he asked us, would you guys consider Frank Ocean and The Weeknd to be pop artists or R&B artists? That's an interesting question because they came into a time where R&B was sort of in a weird transition, and this alternate R&B thing kind of came into place. Now they've kind of hit the mainstream. It's kind of interesting if you really think about it.
I mean, honestly, I feel like they want to call them R&B because they're black. I mean, just realistically speaking, if you couldn't see the person who was singing the music, then it would be totally different. But like I just feel like it's like just a habit. They want to call someone R&B because they're black. It always happens. I mean, if you think about Miguel, who they call R&B, he really isn't much of an R&B singer. I mean, he has rock, he has elements of all different stuff in his music, and they still call him R&B. So I mean, it's just like a habit we have these days. But it's almost like we need new genres. If we're going to have to classify people in genres, we should create new subgenres because we can't keep putting The Weeknd and Frank Ocean and even someone like a Party Next Door, who we'll talk about later, in the same category as a Charlie Wilson. It's just not fair.
No, I think you're 100% correct on that. They actually just did or a couple of outlets did a feature on Rihanna, who celebrated her 10-year anniversary of Good Girl Gone Bad, which came out 2007. Wow, that's a long time. But, that had some R&B songs on there, like Take a Bow. Shout out to Neil for writing that. But, one of the things they wrote on there was Rihanna went from more of an island vibe to a straight R&B type of sound. And as I listened to that album, again, it has R&B influences to it, but I wouldn't call that necessarily an R&B album. It's R&B inspired, obviously. But, I mean, just the category of R&B it's so broad nowadays, and it's like, I don't even know, when artists are describing their music as R&B, if they really understand the history of it.
Hey, little known fact about I Got Soul, flashback actually. We get so many emails and submissions sent our way, and years ago, I used to be checking out some music, and I'd send it over to Kyle, and I'd be like, Kyle, is this R&B? Are we supposed to post this? Because I really would have no idea. But you were the gatekeeper for that. So if something sounded too pop, it didn't make the cut.
And even now, I'm sort of like, I don't even know anymore. And fun fact for you, Tom. So there's a new album coming out from Maroon 5, which is one of your favorite groups, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I did like them a lot about 10 years ago.
Well, I think you might like them again, because Adam Levine says that the next album will be very R&B, whatever that means.
Don't they have a song with Future?
I think they do, actually.
That's not R&B.
Well, it might be, according to some people that I'm around at the gym. They tell me that Future is R&B.
Oh boy!
But Tom, another one of your favorite artists, Kelly Clarkson, she's putting out an R&B soul album that's supposed to come out either next year or later this year.
At least her vocals, like from hearing her music, at least her vocals are soulful. Or I could see her going that direction.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think John Mayer was another one earlier in his career that had sort of that soulful vibe to him. Right?
Whatever happened to Leona Lewis?
That is a good question.
I feel like she was one of the people that was on that line there between soul and pop.
Yeah. Jordan Sparks was another one.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings back flashbacks now, because I remember when we first started this site, you refused to post Jordan Sparks. And then didn't she have like one of the top 5 songs of the year like 2 years ago?
There's a lot of stuff I refused to post back then that now gets posted on the site somehow. We're not going to mention any names.
Mm-hmm.
We once got into an argument, actually, over you posting something on the site after I told you not to. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. But we'll get into that later. I want to go into what happened.
I'm just trying to remember what that was, but that's irrelevant.
It was Tierra Marie.
And where is she now?
I mean, she was R&B in retrospect, looking back at it.
Well, what is she doing these days?
You can't say that she wasn't.
Is she on one of those? She's on one of those reality shows now?
Of course, just like everybody else.
Ugh.
I do. Like, can we take a moment to talk about Tierra Marie, though?
Okay.
I mean, I think it's kind of crazy looking back at it, because I remember, because you were a huge Rockefeller fan, weren't you?
I was about in the late 90s.
Oh, well, I remember when Rockefeller split up and Jay-Z did his own thing, and he brought in Tierra Marie and hyped her up as the next big thing, because that was when, Beyonce was out and Ashanti was out, and Tierra Marie was supposed to be the next big thing. And you know what? I'm reading L.A. Reid's book right now, so it might talk. I don't think it will, but it might talk about Tierra Marie. But it's just like, man, can you, like, just back in the day, can you imagine like getting hyped up like that and then just not being successful?
It's interesting because the same thing happened with Rita Ora. Remember Jay-Z went around with her to all the stations and everything?
Yep.
And it's interesting how that didn't work out either. You'd figure with those type of power moves, it would work out.
Yeah. Do you kind of agree that... Because I always hear the statement from people that good music surpasses everything or conquers all. I don't know if I agree. Like, you know what? I agree with that to an extent, but I think running this website and being around you and Ed has kind of tainted that perspective for me, that good music is the end all and is the reason that things happen.
Well, more so in the 90s. But like I was just talking to someone about this now. Now it's probably about 75% personality, movement, the look, all that is like 75%. The music, I feel like, is only 25%. That's my opinion. Because we hear plenty of amazing artists who no one will ever hear about. And they're making way better music than what's out. But no one will ever get to hear it. But those who have a certain look or a certain image or movement or even a swag or have that star quality are the ones who blow up. So I think that's what it's all about now.
Yeah. I'm just quickly looking at the pop charts because we like to check on the charts every so often. Tom, do you like the new DJ Khaled song, I'm the One, with Bieber and Chance and Wayne and Quavo?
I hear it at the gym. You know what? I'm not going to say I like it. I don't hate it, but it's actually interesting. I thought it was interesting because you hear Bieber, and it's like you're bringing the straight pop vocals together with like hip-hop music. And I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, those two genres are mixing more nowadays. And we talked about how hip-hop is becoming pop. But I don't hate the song. It's kind of catchy. I won't be playing it in my free time, but...
And don't you also like that Calvin Harris song with Frank Ocean and Migos?
That's catchy, too. Until I found out that was Frank Ocean singing. Now I don't listen to it anymore.
Oh, that's a problem.
Interesting thing about that song.
And,
you know what's interesting? I tried to look it up. The full version is not even on YouTube. So you have to actually go on Spotify to stream it in full. I wonder if that's a play by the label to force people in a certain direction.
Well, another play right now I think that's going on, and this is more so in the world of pop, and I can see R&B probably doing this in the near future. Groups like One Direction and I think Maroon 5 is another one. They have no plans of putting out an album. They're just going to continue putting out singles, which is something that you brought up like 2 years ago. So congrats, Tom. You were ahead of your time.
Really? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so smart. I think that's going to be the trend, and I'm sure R&B artists will be the last ones to catch on to that trend. But
Yeah.
Speaking of, can I just bring up this just came into my head today. I was listening to Stokely's, one of the new songs he put out. It's a ballad.
Yep.
Man, does anyone have time to listen to ballads anymore? I'm not dissing ballads, but like I just feel like people don't have the patience, or even even especially the younger generation. Do they even know what a ballad is?
Oh, definitely not.
It's almost like you hear one and it's like, oh, this is going to get lost in the shuffle. People don't have time to sit with that,
But it's interesting because, like, Bruno Mars is actually going to be performing at the BET Awards, which is kind of funny as well, how he's now being embraced by the urban community. But his new single, Versace on the Sheets, that's a straight-up ballad. So I'm actually really interested to see how that will do. Obviously, he has the backing of a pop audience, but, I mean, it's still a ballad, so we'll have to see, Tom.
Yeah. Well, his previous singles were more up-tempo, pop-sounding, and they did really well, even on the urban radio, so... We'll have to follow this one, too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, can we go into some true I Got Soul stories?
Uh-oh. I'm scared.
This one, I think you guys will love this one. So, I met this girl. Actually, I met her a while ago, but I was talking to her the other day, trying to slide in the DMs and all of that stuff. And she's a huge R&B head as well. I think she's around the same age as me, maybe a little younger. So, we're talking about music, and I'm like, oh, what type of music do you like? And she's like, New Jack Swing. Do you listen to Christopher Williams? And I'm like, what? Like, no offense to Christopher Williams or New Jack Swing, but I'm a little too young for that. And obviously I need to do my homework and get into it, but it actually amazed me that someone younger than me was listening to New Jack Swing.
That is impressive. You have to wonder, maybe their parents were big New Jack Swing fans. I don't know. But of all people, Christopher Williams? I mean, to most people, he's a one-hit wonder. I'm just saying. I mean, he's not technically, but like to many, they only know one song from him.
Our boy DJ Soulchild probably thinks he's a legend, though, so...
Oh, boy. I can't wait to see his comment on that. But, yeah, you're right.
But didn't you get into a discussion with one of your coworkers about, because I think he's a little younger, right?
Yeah, he's about 10 years younger than me. And I was telling him about the site, and telling him some of the achievements we've had, some of the artists we've interviewed. Man, he wasn't impressed at all. In fact, he didn't even know who Music Soulchild was. How bad is that?
That's a tough one.
All he wanted to know is if I've heard the new Party Next Door EP that had just come out, or record, or whatever it was.
And did you?
No, I didn't, but I said, pull it up on your phone, and I'll listen to 30 seconds of it, of one song. So I did. Man, those were some bad vocals. I just had to turn it off and threw his phone in the river.
Oh, but here's the question. Do you think the youth knows that those are bad vocals? Like, that's actually a question I'm going to ask my little sister later, because she listens to, the Futures of the world and all of that stuff. Bryson Tiller, do you think they know that the singing is bad?
No. Because if that's all you're exposed to, you don't know any better. And really, why would you even think about it, It's just a sound, really. And if that's
true.
So probably not, I mean. And
well, you might be right, because like I grew up listening to Mario and Omarion, who I think are, they can sing. But I've been talking to Lachelle Wallace, one of our readers, recently, and she grew up listening to like Johnny Gill and stuff, so I think it's just a matter of what you grew up listening to. You're not going to know any better. So to me, Mario is the greatest singer of all time.
Okay. Okay. So, but how, it's just like, how does someone not know who Music Soulchild is? Like, I know he's not a worldwide superstar, possibly, but in R&B, he's one of the biggest artists who consistently tours. He's had so many hits. I guess it's like the younger generation has just never been exposed to him in any way. Like, the music has never crossed over, or maybe they've heard the music when it's in a store or something and not even paid attention. Like, it's interesting.
Tom, I have the answer to that.
Okay.
It just means that Music Soulchild doesn't belong in the R&B Hall of Fame. That's all
my
it is.
Goodness. But Party Next Door will get in next go around, I guess.
Oh yeah, just give him about 10 years and he'll be in.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's tough times here, man. Now, I got another comment from one of our readers, and it actually comes from our boy Anthony Clemens, who we kind of called out on the last podcast because we thought that he said we were too old to listen to trap music, but that's not actually what he meant. He was just trying to defend the Lettucey song by saying that you're never too old to try trap music because, she's still singing on the song. And Tom, I apologize to Anthony Clemens for mistaking, what he was saying, but I think you also have to make an apology too, right?
I'm not making an apology. I will slightly backtrack. So, I listened to the song 5 times in a row in preparation for this podcast, just so I know what I'm talking about. It's not as bad as I originally thought, but I will say 2 things. You can tell she's still slightly influenced by the younger generation in terms of slight touches of rap singing at times. And number 2, I don't think you could say the song is timeless like a lot of her other material is. And
well, only time will tell. I actually enjoyed it a lot. Well, not a lot, but I did enjoy it. But fine. We'll have to wait to see how it does.
Well, what do you know about music anyway?
Nah. Yeah, I mean, I just run a little R&B website with you, but it's all good.
Well, is the song is the song going to make your top 100 of the year, you think?
Well, let me just say this, Tom. Did it make our Spotify playlist, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, because you kind of left out some songs that I really liked from her or Gabby Wilson. So I thought you were on this like hating trap music thing, but apparently you still have some sense in you.
I thought we agreed that her is not really that good.
Oh,
did we agree
Tom.
on that? Didn't we agree on that?
we didn't. We listen, Tom. Her is going on tour with Bryson Tiller, right? I actually bought tickets just to go see her.
Oh my goodness.
So, we're ready for that.
Are you prepared for them to just play the music over a loudspeaker and her not even be on stage?
Can you imagine that if it was just like curtains like covering her?
It's possible. I remember the Gorillas used to do that when they wouldn't show their face.
That's true. Now I might have to sell those tickets off, but we'll see. Now, before I forget, Tom, Mali Music, new album came out. That kind of slipped through the cracks. Like, I thought his buzz was still going as strong as ever, but last week we were like, yeah, but he's putting out an album next week and no one knows about it. So
yeah,
you're a big Mali Music fan, so what were your thoughts?
Well, I want to flashback again real quick. Do you remember when we first interviewed him after he signed with RCA, when he'd come over from being a gospel singer, and the comments we got on our site? Man, there was religious people coming to our site to diss Mali Music, talking about God hates you now and stuff like that, and I hope you die. It was really bad. But he's been successful, and I think he's converted a lot of people into believers of the music. So, but just because he stopped making gospel means like that's such a bad thing? I don't know. It doesn't mean he doesn't. The music he's making is inspirational. It's classy too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have a chance to listen to the whole album yet, the transition of Mali, but I checked out the duet he has with Jasmine Sullivan, and it's pretty good. And the single is pretty good, and he just makes solid music. He deserves a lot of attention, and he's one of the best performers I've seen too. So he'll probably be touring soon. So yeah, props to Mali Music. The album came out 2 days ago on Friday.
That should be definitely, that's something that everyone should go check out because he's one of our favorites, one of the ones that we truly support. Now, Tom, I read this, but I'm not sure if it's true yet, but apparently T-Boz is going to be releasing, T-Boz from TLC, of course, is going to be releasing her upcoming debut album scheduled for September.
I don't know, man. You think it's going to happen?
I don't, listen. It was already messy as heck, because we don't swear, so we're gonna say heck. that TLC and the way they put out that album with the Kickstarter, how messy that was. I can't see this actually happening.
I'm still tripping over the fact that they asked the fans to help name the album, and they ended up with a self-titled album. How does that even make any sense?
What if? And I'm not saying this is true. It probably is. But what if they took that Kickstarter money and they split it 3 ways? One for the TLC album, one for the T-Boz album, and one for the Chili album.
That'd be pretty cool.
Is that possible?
I think that's
No, that is not cool. Because then the TLC album is 1/3 the quality of what it should be.
Well, how much money did they get? Didn't they get like $500,000?
It's time to do some Google research because we need to do that.
I mean, how much are they paying for production of this album? I don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah, they made about $430,000.
So, say if you took 160,000, split it 3 ways, is that enough for 3 albums? We don't know how much an album costs to make.
No, we don't.
So
independent artists, come let us know.
Yeah. So
I personally don't. And here's my thing: I'm all for artists making albums for their fans, but I don't see how this is gonna work.
Well, if you remember, and we had to issue a few apologies to TLC. Hopefully, we don't have to issue any more. But we didn't even know the news about the album in terms of like what was going on in the progress. So they weren't even properly distributing like information. So I have no idea. I mean, there's no label involved, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
It doesn't appear they've hired any type of high-end publicity firm either. Maybe they will start soon. I mean, we're still a few weeks away, but I hope they do, man. This is a legendary group. I mean, this is one of the top groups of all time in R&B. So I'm hoping they make this into a big success.
Mm-hmm. Now, Tom, as I'm reading our YouTube comments, I saw a very interesting comment. Not about our podcast, but about one of the performances that we recorded of Teacher Moses.
Uh-oh.
Charlie Jenkins wrote, "Girl, I'll drink your bathwater."
Oh
when would you
God.
ever drink someone's bathwater, Tom?
That's impressive. Shout out to you, Charlie Jenkins. Good luck on that one.
I don't know if that's the most sanitary thing to do. But
I gotta call someone out, Kyle. Can I call someone out?
Yep.
It's an artist. It's one of our boys, John B. Man,
Oh, why are you calling out John B? That's not only our boys. That's like our number one supporter on our website.
That's true, but everyone has to take their turn, and if you don't come correct, you're gonna get dissed. All right, we're not gonna diss John B. But where's the album, John? Your fans are waiting. You know, you've talked about it. I mean, I hope he's just not losing motivation like Genuine to make music. So it's just.
I mean,
it's been 5.
I mean, he performed Hurricane at SOBs a while ago, didn't he?
Well, that was over a year ago, and the single never even came out.
Wow, time flies.
Yeah. So, well, it was about a year. So, and we haven't even heard anything since then. So, I mean, that was a good sounding song too. I'm not really trying to diss the guy. We're just excited to hear new music. So we just hope he, comes with something soon. I know the fans agree. So. Anyone you want?
No, absolutely, they do.
Anyone you want to call out while we're on this topic?
Well, if I must, we need to call out Mario.
Why?
Because he's been teasing about an album since like 2010. He's like the ultimate liar when it comes to music. I remember when he was supposed to put out a mixtape, an album. Of course, he ended up leaving RCA, went independent. Then he recorded an album with Scott Storch. Nothing came of that. I think some lawsuit involved. So obviously there are reasons for him not being able to put out a music. But man, like as a fan, it's hard. It's hard, and I understand with the landscape of music now, it's gonna take a little longer. Like, when did Jagged Edge put out their last album? 3 years ago?
I think it was 2014.
So that it's already been almost 3 years, and like back in the day, that would feel like eternity. But like now, it feels like decades if you don't put out an album every year.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
So.
But wait a second, didn't you get Mario's whole album off his website like a year ago?
Yeah, it was only snippets though. So
okay.
It doesn't really count. Yeah. It's all good though. So I gotta ask you one more question, Tom. This is from one of our other readers. Where was this question? I had just seen it here. Oh, Tom, Saba Haddon wants to ask, any Aaliyah updates?
It's always funny when, like, we've been so involved with Aaliyah's, legacy over the past 5-6 years, and people think we're still really involved, but I haven't even heard anything. I mean, it seemed like for a while the news would just find us. I remember, like, we were just running into producers who were involved randomly, and then I think you saw, who was the producer on Twitter? You saw him mention something about producing on the new album. What's
J-Dub.
that? Yeah, you just happened to see that, and it turned into like breaking news everywhere. That was funny. But we're in the same boat as everyone else. But that's interesting. Like, do you think that it's too late now for anything?
Absolutely. I think absolutely. It's a whole new generation now.
Yeah.
By far, it's a whole new generation.
You're right.
And on top of that, at this point, I'm not even really interested in hearing new Aaliyah music, or I guess not a new Aaliyah music, but like a new like new album. I'm not really interested in that, to be honest.
Well, what if it was like the unreleased? I mean, it might sound dated at this point, unfortunately, because they waited so long. And
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, Drake got involved with it, and it had more of like a moody Drake sound to it, which I think a lot of people actually liked. But just for me personally, I'm not. It's hard for me to listen to stuff that's redone in different ways. Like I think Timbaland did a pretty good job of that on the latest Michael Jackson album, but a lot of those songs were never heard before. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, as I listen to Faith's new album with Biggie, it's just like I know these verses, and as cool as they are to sound, as they do sounding on new beats, Diddy's already done that like 6 times. So
Yeah. Well, we have a few unreleased Aaliyah songs, and they do sound dated. So if they were to put them out in that form now, it would just, I don't know, it'd be hard to get into. You don't want to ruin her legacy by putting out subpar material too. Like, I don't even know if she wanted those songs out there. So,
I would not touch that one.
Speaking of the Aaliyah legacy, there's another legacy we're waiting on. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, who?
Static Major.
Oh, yep.
So, fill them in if our listeners aren't familiar with Static Major.
Well, Static Major was part of Playa, the 90s R&B group, and he went on to write huge hits for Aaliyah, Genuine, Timbaland. The list goes on and on. Pretty Ricky, Lil Wayne. So he's one of the most prolific R&B songwriters in the 90s and 2000s. He passed away. It's almost 10 years now, right?
It was 2008, so it's been 9.
2008, yeah, so almost 9 years now. And we haven't really heard a lot of his solo music. He was set to release a solo album prior to passing away. So that's his legacy, and he's one of I would say, the unsung heroes of 90s and 2000s R&B. He kind of brought in a fresh new sound and delivered some hits.
And they're doing a contest right now too. I guess they're trying to put out a mixtape. His widow and the family. So we'll see if that comes together. I'm not sure where they're at.
Yeah, I mean it's cool that they're putting that together. It's kind of a little too late, but hey, at the end of the day, it is for the fans and anyone that wants to check it out. So I think I forget the username on Instagram, but if you go search up Static Major, there's more details on that. They're asking people to cover the songs for an opportunity to show up on the mixtape that they're putting out, I think, with unreleased Static material. So good on the family for doing that.
So what else is going on in the world of R&B?
Well, Tom, can we take a moment of silence right now and appreciate the R&B Hall of Famer Brandy?
For what? Oh boy, I know where you're going with this.
She was rushed to the hospital earlier this week, I guess due to stress and just, overworking herself. So, I mean, shout outs to Brandy. I hope she's doing well. Man, it's tough because, again, that's one of my favorite artists, and I would hate to see one of my favorite artists, and, obviously we hope it doesn't happen, but, it's always scary when one of your favorite artists, goes through stuff like that.
Is she okay? I didn't hear anything else.
I'm not sure. I haven't really followed up on it. I'll check out the internets later to find out.
Wow.
But
it's your favorite artist, and you don't even know how she's doing? That's really bad.
Listen, Tom, I'm reading this L.A. Reid book right now, so I got to get educated.
I'm surprised they haven't burned the L.A. Reid books after what he went through recently.
Yeah. Yep. And you know what's funny? And actually, I came across this guy's book as well at the library. DJ Khaled has a book.
Oh no! I wish Ed was here to comment on that.
Book? How does he get a book, Tom?
How does he get millions and millions of followers on every social media?
It is pretty impressive, though, if you think about it.
It is?
Yeah, I think he's actually campaigning himself to run to replace L.A. Reid at Epic.
Yeah, I heard that. The question I have for you is, though, he has these albums, and he had that single with Bieber and the rappers, but what does he actually do to put the music together?
Well, we're going to have to get DJ Khaled on this podcast to find out, because I'm not really sure.
And why do people want to be on his album? He's had big names on his albums forever. But like, how does he? What is his role? Does he just bring people together? I don't really understand.
Maybe we should start doing that. Let's put together You Know I Got Soul album and link all of our favorites together. I can see it now. We'll have John B, RL, and Genuine on one song.
Oh man,
Produced by DJ Camper.
We can have duets too, man. Imagine that. You could
Do
have.
you think that the artist would charge us though?
You could have a Brandy and Genuine duet.
That already happened.
When?
Bridge to Love.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Who knew?
Yeah. Do you think the artist would charge us for this?
Depends how much they're hurting for cash. You know.
Wait, didn't Tank perform at a gay festival?
Oh man, we have to bring that up. No, not that he did that. Just the fact that so that people turned that into a big deal that he did that.
Yeah. I personally don't think it was a big deal. I mean, it was an opportunity for him, performance-wise, and he seemed to put on a good show. People liked it.
His shirt came off, I heard.
His shirt did come off, and the song that he performed, "Effing with Me" on "Sex, Love, and Pain 2," which I know you're not a big fan of that song, that ended up actually charting on iTunes after that whole situation went down. So I guess the key to R&B blowing up is through social media now, which we knew already.
But people just knew about that song now, like they're just hearing about it now because of that performance.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. That's so bad.
Well, what are you going to do, right?
That's the way we're at with music nowadays. And can you believe that
is the way we are?
That album came out a year and a half ago. Can you believe that?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Like, I almost thought it was this year that it came out, but damn, that was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Yep.
And he was supposed to get a label, Tank, at Atlantic. We were speculating.
Doesn't he still have that label? R&B money is still a thing, isn't it?
But I thought he was going to sign artists. We were speculating. Like, that would have been interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, just like everything else in R&B nowadays.
Oh, boy. So...
All right, Tom.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Just, I don't know, the whole state of R&B, and maybe we should just quit. How about that? Like, think about it. No, for real. Like, if your coworker is questioning who Music Soul Child is, and this girl that I'm trying to talk to only listens to New Jack Swing, no one's ever going to care that we interviewed Genuine like 9 times.
Is it exactly 9 times?
It might be a little more.
Oh. Impressive.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Shoutouts to, what's that person's name? Tanu Kid? Man, she leaves some long comments. Like, I think she pretty much is Genuine, because, like, you've seen those YouTube comments, right?
Yeah.
Man, she writes a whole, like, essay paper on Genuine's career. It's impressive.
That is impressive.
Yep.
Do you know what our most successful interview of all time is?
I have an idea. What is it?
Oh, in terms of views, you remember.
Oh, it was my interview?
Yeah.
Oh, Natina Reed from Black.
Yeah. How long has that been since she...
Rest in peace.
She passed.
Man, it's been a while. You know what? I think Black is still trying to make a comeback.
Really?
Well, they were for a while, and then I think Shamari is pregnant now. But yeah, I think they were on the cusp of trying to figure something out. But Natina Reed, she passed away, I think, 2012.
Damn, it's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years. Yeah. But Black is another group that is. There's actually, you know what? There's a lot of R&B groups from the 90s that are actually still active. It's just no one knows.
Like
I think Rough Ends is still performing.
Oh yeah, they're still performing.
Yeah. Yep.
Rough Ends, High Five, who I interviewed at Soul Village. I was just thinking about them.
Wait a minute. Aren't like half the members like not part of that group anymore?
Say that again?
Aren't half of the groups in High Five like not even part of the group anymore?
The lead singer passed away, but they picked up the pieces. They have a few new members, yes. They're carrying on the legacy.
Fair enough. I want to bring... Yeah, go on.
Here's a big surprise for you. Our most successful interview, but in terms of views, in terms of minutes watched, you'll never guess this one. My boy, Tony Sunshine.
Wow.
And then comes Natina Reed, and then comes Day 26. That was when they first announced their reunion, and we interviewed them.
How'd that reunion go?
You tell me.
I think it's still happening. I don't know anymore.
I don't know either. And then rounding out
Tom,
the rest of the top of the list is Kalani. We interviewed her before she blew up. And Molly Music when he first signed with RCA, and then B5 when they were reintroducing themselves. And is that reunion still going on?
No, I don't think B5 is still a thing.
Okay. All right, your turn.
Well, I forgot to mention there's a new song, and we're going back to her because we love talking about Gabby Wilson. There's a new song out by her, and it sounds like, the production is pretty modern, but I was talking to one of our readers, Lachelle, and she told me it sounds like a song from 1994. So, Tom, that leads me to the question, and obviously we're going to have to wait for Ed on this one, but man, we need to put H-Town in the Hall of Fame.
We are?
I don't know if we will, but we need to.
Just
put him in without Ed.
We'll slip them in through the back door while Ed's away. And while we're at it, we'll put Christopher Williams in it too. How about that?
Yeah, just put everyone from the New Jack Swing era in there.
Oh, I can't wait to tell us to Ed when he comes back next week.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it up to the readers. So, should Christopher Williams and H-Town be in the Hall of Fame? So, anybody that's made it to this far into our podcast, that is the question that we want to ask. And it is up to you guys to put them into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, man.
Ed's not going to be happy. Ed is not going to be happy about that.
Also, if you're listening, do you want to vote Ed off of this podcast and replace him with Barry?
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Come on. Now, Tom, obviously Ed's not here today to do an album look back, and I think we've talked about food for like the 50,000th time, so we shouldn't do that, but I want to bring back a feature for you, Tom. This is the album look back.
Uh-oh, what do you got?
We haven't done this in a while, have we?
Nope.
The album that I want to talk about, and this is a more recent album, I don't think we've actually talked about it. Can we talk about Keyshia Cole's second album, Just Like You? Because this is an interesting point that I want to bring up. I remember listening to that album when it first came out and like going through it and saying, man, like, it's different now. Like when I listened to an album back in the day, I would quickly listen to each song just to see what would capture my attention, and then I would just go through each song, and then I would go back to the one that I really liked. And like music doesn't do that for me anymore. Like I don't go back to it like I used to.
Yeah.
But this album, I did like so many different songs on here, and like, I don't know if this is a classic, obviously. I don't think it's a classic, but there were a lot of good songs on this album.
Believe it or not, I agree with you. I really like this album too, better than her first one. I like their first one too. I think my favorite is Heaven Sent on here, and I like a lot of others too.
Yeah.
Man.
And I remember, we talk about saddest songs ever. I Remember has to be in like the top 5 of all time. That is a very, very sad song.
Yeah, I can't listen to that one. She even has a duet with Anthony Hamilton on here. That's impressive.
Yep.
You know what?
And what happened to the rapper Amina?
I didn't know who that was at the time, and I still don't.
Ouch.
That's not No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what the problem I have with Keyshia Cole is? I always felt like she had a chip on her shoulder. And, like, that kind of steered me away from her. Remember, she blocked us for no reason?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you diss her?
No, I never dissed her. In fact, I was giving her props. And it just always seemed like she had this chip on her shoulder and negative attitude. And that kind of turned me away from her as an artist, unfortunately. Did you ever get that vibe from her?
Yeah, to an extent. And I think this is interesting because one of our previous podcasts is called "For Some Reason Keyshia Cole Hates Us."
Exactly.
But maybe we do now. We do know now that it's because she's super negative. But yeah, I kind of got that as well. I think it kind of worked towards her advantage with the first two albums because I remember when she first came out, she was dissing everyone from Ashanti to I forget the other names that she was dissing, but she came in as a new person and just started dissing everyone else that was around, and it kind of worked towards her favor because the music was good. But later on, it was like, man, like, there's just too much negativity here. I mean, it works great for the music because we love that emotional, sad, sappy Keyshia Cole record. But yeah, I'm with you. It kind of drew me off as a fan.
Well, didn't they initially compare her to Mary J?
Yep, they did.
But Mary J, to me, just seems more down to earth, more of someone you can relate to. But Keyshia Cole, to me, just seems more arrogant at times. And, like, I just... That's really turned me away. And she's made some great songs. It's unfortunate, too, that it's like that. I mean, I don't know what it is, but we'll see. I'm curious to see how she continues with her career, though.
Isn't she from Oakland?
Yeah, tough place. Well,
Michelle is from Oakland, too, so maybe I'll find out from her if that's just how people are over there.
Hey, our boy, there's a lot of artists from Oakland, like Raphael Sadiq.
Adrian Marcel's from Oakland.
Raphael Sadiq, our boy, Adrian Marcel. And Vogue is from Oakland, too, I think. I don't think they are like that. Who knows? We don't know what she's been through in life. I mean, who knows? But I just like to see people who are humble. Speaking of humble, sorry, are you done with your look back?
Yeah, we are. So Keyshia Cole's second album is not a classic?
No.
Good album, though.
Modern day classic, I'd say, potentially.
Well, that album had a lot of hits on it, and I think that really works towards her favor. And yeah, I don't know if I could call that a classic, but it was a very good album for its time.
I think it's the same issue. I think it's 15 songs long or something, or close to that. Yeah, if it was shortened down to like 11, 12, and they cut a few out, I think it would have been closer.
Yeah.
But speaking of humble, I read this great article about how Kendrick Lamar bought his sister a Toyota Camry for graduating from high school, and he got dissed. Yep.
Why?
Because he's a millionaire, and he bought her a Toyota Camry.
Well, you got to stay humble, Tom.
Yeah, and that's what it was, but people were dissing him because they're saying he was being cheap and stuff like that. I just found it funny.
Yeah.
The internet...
Actually, can we go backtrack? Can we go backtrack on this Oakland discussion?
Yeah.
I have another true I Got Soul story for you guys, and this was early on when I had joined the website. One of my first interviews in person, Tom, was with Tony.
Nice. Oakland.
And at the time, Oakland's finest, Tony. And at the time, I didn't do my Wikipedia research, so I didn't know the whole thing about Raphael Sadiq not being part of the group, which at the time he hadn't been part of the group for like 8 years or whatever, which is pretty sad that I didn't know that. But I was doing an interview with them, and Dwayne Wiggins, who is the other co-founder of the group, he stepped out to talk to somebody else. So I was doing the interview with the new lead singer. I forget his name, Ahmed or Amar Kali. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me do my Wikipedia research so I don't sound dumb. I don't even. Well, whoever the lead singer of Tony is now.
Oh my god.
I feel bad. I should really figure this out. Oh man. Man, what is Amar Kali? That is his name. So I did know his name. Um, I was interviewing him, and one of the questions I asked was, "Do you see yourself working with Raphael Sadiq again?" And this is some new guy who's like probably never worked with Raphael before, and he was completely thrown off by the question. But he was very nice, so that shows you that people from Oakland can be nice.
There you go.
Yeah, that was one of the saddest moments in I Got Soul history, though.
Hey, man, interviews are tough, especially in the beginning. It's not easy to just
They are.
interview random strangers, especially if it's someone you're not that familiar with their music. I mean, it's not an easy job.
No, absolutely, you're right. So yeah, we did the album Look Back and Keyshia Cole, Just Like You. Everyone go listen to that album.
Hey, didn't I see you talking about McDonald's recently?
I did. I always talk about McDonald's.
There was some deal going on or something?
Oh, yes. This is our food discussion. I forgot about this. So, oh man, Tom, you really sparked something here. I'm excited. So, for those that don't know, McDonald's celebrated I think it was 100th year anniversary of being in Canada. So, what they did throughout, I believe it was just in Canada, or I think it was just in Vancouver actually. They did a promotion for the hamburger at McDonald's. You like the hamburger, don't you?
Years ago, before I gave up red meat.
So they were selling the hamburger for 67 cents. That's a pretty good deal. So I was like, you know what? Let me take advantage of this McDonald's hamburger. I get to McDonald's and I'm not sure. I haven't been to New York in a while, but do they have those kiosk machines set up at McDonald's now?
Wait,
you don't go to McDonald's.
I haven't been to
you can order through a machine now as opposed to lining up at the cash register.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, they have that thing set up now where you don't even have to line up anymore. You just do your thing on the kiosk, and then they print out a receipt, and then they just call your order once it's ready. So I saw this huge line forming up at McDonald's at the cashier area, and I'm like, you guys are dumb. I'm just gonna use this kiosk thing. So as I'm punching in my order, I realized the hamburger was at its original price, not its discounted price, and I was like, why isn't it working? So I asked one of the ladies that worked at McDonald's, and she was like, oh yeah, you can only get that promotion if you line up. And the lineup was insane. I lined up for about 30 seconds, realized it wasn't worth it, and left. So that is my McDonald's story for you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really walked into a McDonald's in years, but glad they're evolving to meet the trends with kiosks.
It's pretty cool, though. I mean, what's minimum wage in New York these days?
They're pushing for it to be $15, but it's definitely not near there. It's probably, I don't know. How would I know?
Well, Tom, here's a life lesson for us. So, obviously, by raising minimum wage, it's gonna cause McDonald's to probably install more of these kiosks, so they don't have to hire as many people. But what they've done is they've actually installed these kiosks and still managed to maintain the same amount of employees in the restaurant, so they're not really screwing anyone over. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but the thing about McDonald's, if I remember correctly, the service was typically horrendous whenever I went to one at the register.
That's true. Yep. Yep.
So.
Anyways, Tom, I guess that's it for our podcast, right?
That's pretty much it for this time.
Yeah, so I guess that's it, and I promise you Ed will be back next week for another great installment of our podcast. We'll get back into the Hall of Fame. We'll get back into you and Ed fighting about crazy things, and we'll get back to real podcasting as opposed to us just ranting about McDonald's. So Tom, anything going on with the website?
Nah, man, it's slow right now, so, these podcasts have been going well for us. They're doing well. We're going to keep these going. Other than that, we have our monthly Spotify playlist out. If you want to check that out, the best songs from May. And then you can also check out an article we just put up about the upcoming albums in June, which we just discussed, if you want any more info on those. Pretty much it. Are you going to any shows this month?
I'll have to. Well, Good news, I didn't actually go to John Legend's concert.
Oh, good.
For anyone that cares.
Why?
So, yeah, that seems
Tell
to
us
be
why.
it.
Tell us why.
Well, I have no interest of going to a John Legend concert.
Oh, man. If he
Come on.
If he did a show where he performed the whole second album, I'd definitely be there.
I don't know about that.
I have to say that when Ed's not here.
Play it, please. There you go. All right, Tom, we are out of here. Let's check back in next week. Peace.
Peace.